For the last element under group 2B, we have Mercury. Okay, Mercury, yung symbol niya is Hg, capital H, G. So, bakit Hg yung symbol niya? Mercury kasi, it comes from the Greek word hydrargyrum. Okay, sa notes nyo, I think hydrarginum. Mali yun, correct. Again, Mercury comes from the Greek word hydrargyrum. Ibig sabihin, in English, ang hydrargyrum, liquid silver. Okay, yung liquid silver, yung silver dyan, ano lang yan, that is relative sa kanyang silvery na reflection. Okay? So that is just to reflect its shiny surface. Okay? Kasi pag sinabi ng ibang silver, shining. Okay? Shiny yung ano niya, surface. Okay? So as being illustrated, that is an example of a mercury. Then liquid, yung liquid dyan, of course, it has something to do with the state of the metal. Okay? So as written here or as stated in this slide, sabi dito, si mercury daw, the only metal that exists as liquid at room temperature. Again ha, take note, si mercury, siya yung only metal that exists as liquid at room temperature. Kahit anong metal naman, they exist as liquid. Pero, kailangan pang i-apply yan o extreme or very elevated na temperature. Kahit anong metal. Okay, basta applyan mo very extreme elevated temperature, mo liquefy gid sila. But in the case of mercury, take note, si mercury kakaiba siya kasi expose mo lang siya sa room temperature, wala nang effort applying heat, room temperature lang, it will melt easily. Okay, so siya yung only metal that exists as liquid at room temperature. That is because of its very high vapor pressure. Yan yung reason. Okay, very high characteristic niya yan. Physical property niya yan, ni mercury. Very high yung vapor pressure niya. That is the reason. Madali lang siyang mag-melt. Okay, very low ngayon yung melting point niya. Okay, even its boiling point. Okay. But despite that characteristic ng mercury na liquid siya at room temperature, despite that characteristic, considered pa rin siya as a true metal. Considered pa rin siya as a true metal. True siya gihapon nga transition metal to be specific. Because just like any other metals, it carries the same properties of a true metal. Ductile pa rin siya. Meron siyang malleability na property. Okay? Or it even conducts heat. It conducts electricity. Di ba yan yung basic property ng mga metal? Kaya nilang mag-conduct ng electricity. Kaya nilang mag-conduct ng heat. It is because si mercury, meron din siyang free electrons. Okay? Which gives its metallic property. Okay? So yan yung ibig sabihin ng liquid silver. For the other name ng mercury, hydrargyrum. Mercury is also known as quicksilver din siya. Okay? Yung quicksilver naman, it has something to do with its movement. Kung itas nimo ang flowability ng mercury, very fast moving yung liquid form ni mercury. That is why it is named after the fastest moving planet in the solar system. Diba? Yung fastest moving planet in the solar system is si Mercury. Kaya tinawag din siyang quicksilver. Okay? It has something to do with its movement. Okay? Fast moving liquid siya. Okay? Then, ito namang messenger of gods, in some other references, this is named after Mercury. Kasi sa ancient, ancient Roman mythology, so myth lang, myth. Ancient Roman mythology, ang ilaha daw messenger of God, si Mercury. Okay, sa ancient Roman mythology, Mercury daw, siya yung messenger of God. So that is the reason. Bakit in some references, it is also known as messenger of gods. Okay. Now let us proceed to itong very common nga scenario sa laboratory. Itong last bullet. In the laboratory setting, pag may mga mercury spills, say for example, ang scenario is, familiar man siguro mong thermometer, itong glass nga thermometer, katong old nga, thermometer. Kita naman siguro tanan. Kanang nabito murag silver part sa iyang tumoy. Okay? Muna siya ang glass thermometer, and that is mercury containing. Lahat ng glass, thermometer, those are mercury containing. They contain mercury salts on it. So that is why very careful gid mag-handle of thermometer. Kay once mabuak na siya, pwede na ma-spill out from its inside ang mercury. Okay? And yung mercury, it is very toxic. It is very poisonous. So sa laboratory setting, if ever may mga mercury spills nga mahitabo, ang very much practiced in the lab to remove mercury spills is by using sulfur powder. Yung kulay ng sulfur kulay yellow yan. Ang inyo lang dumdumon sa sulfur is kana bitaw si sulfur soap, si Dr. Wong. Diba usually yellow na siya touch nga yellow. Okay? So yellow ang color sa sulfur powder. Now, ang indicator, unsaon pa gamit sa sulfur powder, sprinkle lang. Example na buak yung kana siya, kaning nasa illustration. Tagak lugar na siya sa salog. Okay, so may mga spills of mercury. So ang buhaton lang is sprinkle lang. Sprinkle the powder of sulfur in that spilled mercury. Then ang indicator nga na-absorb ni sulfur powder ang mga mercury na na-spill in that area is mag-change ang color ni sulfur. From color yellow, mo-change siya into brown. Okay? From yellow nga sulfur powder, mo-change siya into brown coloration. Okay? Bakit brown? Kasi may reaction na. Diba? Inabsorb niya nga yung yung mercury na salt. Okay? So, yan yung pinaka very much practiced in the laboratory kung may mga mercury spills. Okay? So, that is, say, sulfur powder, ginagamit siya for removal of mercury spills. Now, let us proceed to the pharmacological actions. General lang niya siya, ha? Ayan. General pharmacological actions ng mercury. Okay? Or yung mga mercury-containing compounds. So, may mga mercury-containing compounds used as diuretic. Yung iba, may antiseptic property. Yung cathartic, before niya siya, before. Ngayon, hindi na ginagamit as cathartic yung mercury kasi nga, di ba, poisonous siya, very toxic. Okay, then, treatment of syphilis, meron pang mga preparations for the treatment of syphilis containing mercury salts kasi very effective yung mercury against bacterial infection. Yung syphilis isa yung STD, familiar ba mo og sexually transmitted disease? Isa siyang sexually transmitted disease. Okay, yung syphilis. And this is caused particularly, ang syphilis, ang dami kasing klase ng sexually transmitted disease. So, isang klase na sexually transmitted disease is syphilis. Ang syphilis, this is particularly caused by the bacteria Treponema pallidum. Ito yung pangalan ng bacteria that causes syphilis, Treponema palladium. So, anyone sa magpartner, sa mag-asawa, uh, pwede babae, pwede lalaki, infected with this bacteria. Then, anyone sa ilaha na ani nga uh, bacterial infection, nagga-carry og Treponema pallidum, then may sexual interaction sila, sexual intercourse, probably, dako kayo ang chance, 100%, na matransmit niya siyang partner ang disease. Okay? So, yan yung syphilis. And, meron tayong mga preparation ng mercury used to treat syphilis. And for its symptoms, ang pinaka-common or clinical manifestation pala or clinical presentations na makikita sa patient is yung mga genitals na particularly sa lalaki, yung genitals nila nagkakaroon ng sores. Okay? Yung parang abscesses, may nana, okay? Magsamad, okay? Then sa babae, meron din sore sa genitals pero usually sa skin, sa likod, may mga rashes. Pero ibang klaseng rashes kasi may nana na, inflamed na. Okay? So, yan yung syphilis. Then, meron din tayong salts ng mercury uses para parasiticide and fungicide. Okay? Now, for the industrial uses, for the industrial uses, nasabi na kanina, component siya in the manufacture of thermometer. Okay, very important in the manufacturing of thermometer si mercury. Particularly yung glass mercury containing na thermometers. Yun yung may mercury. Pero yung much more recommended na diba ngayon na thermometer is yung digital. Okay, digital naman karon ang gina-advise, okay, nga thermometer gamiton, especially sa household. Even sa mga warehouses ng mga areas kanang mag-detect og mga temperature sa area, digital na gihapon ang ginagamit. Okay, kasi nga very safe siya kasi walang mercury content sa mga digital thermometer. Pero meron pa din namang mga glass sa laboratory natin sa Paseo de Leo campus na agihapon tay glass mercury containing thermometer, and I have shown it to you, diba, when I introduced the different glass apparatuses. Okay, so yan ang isa sa mga industrial use ng mercury for the manufacture of thermometer. Another is formation ng amalgams. Yung amalgams, ginagamit siya as dental cementation. Okay? So, the same use sa katong compound ng zinc, yung zinc eugenol cement. Scan nyo lang yung notes nyo about zinc eugenol cement. The same sila ng use ni amalgams. Okay? Ang amalgams, ginagamit din siya as dental filling material. So, ga-fill in siya sa mga cavities, okay, that is caused by tooth decay. So, yan, yung sa illustration. Pero dili na siya pure nga metal. I mean, mercury metal. It is a salt of mercury which is being alloyed. So, alloy na siya. Alloy. Di ba pag sinabing alloy, may combination na ng other metal. So, hindi yan pure mercury. Ang poisonous is yung pure mercury. Pero ang salt ng mercury, compound na ng mercury, pero at very high concentration, that could be poisonous. Okay? So, yung amalgam, it is being alloyed by other metals. Ang pinaka-common is yung silver. Okay? So, yung amalgams, it is being alloyed with other metals. Pinaka-common is si silver. Okay, yan yung amalgams. Again, ginagamit siya as dental filling material. Okay, ga-fill in siya sa cavities caused by tooth decay. So, yan yung isa sa mga industrial uses din ng mercury. Yung cinnabar dyan, or mercuric sulfide, that is mercuric sulfide. I hope wala pa ninyo nalimtan how to name formulas, ha. This is mercuric sulfide. So you already know why hindi siya mercurous. Okay, mercuric yan, mercuric sulfide. Cinnabar, yan ay isang mineral. Okay, mineral source ng mercury. Okay, in fact, this is the only important ore So mineral source siya. The only important nga ore of mercury. Okay? Existing in nature. Okay, yan yung cinnabar. Okay, yung cinnabar, ginagamit siya usually as pigment. Okay, pag sinabing pigment kasi, coloring, mara siya coloring material. Okay, that is because of its bright red color. Ayan. Yan yung cinnabar nga ore. Okay. Ayan. Mineral source yan ng mercury. Okay, in a form of mercuric sulfide. Again, ginagamit sa cinnabar as pigment. It is because of its bright red color characteristic. So, naman siya gina-impart no color, pwede siya as pigment. Okay. By the way, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Sige pa tayo ta. Kadyo ning mercury, kadyo gid siya. Ang intro lang gid sa mercury, pero pag abot sa compounds, dali na lang siya. Okay, for the toxicity naman, di ba sabi ko kanina, si mercury na pure metal or mercury salt at a very high concentration, very toxic gid siya. Okay, very toxic gid siya, very poisonous. Okay? Now, when it comes to its toxicities, ang daming terms describing mercury poisoning. Again ha, ang daming terms describing mercury poisoning. Pero, the same lang na sila tanan nga ang cause is si mercury. So, mercury poisoning din sila. Mercury poisoning, mercury poisoning, mercury poisoning. Yung tatlong yan na terms. So, saan lang sila nagkaiba? Si Minamata disease, Mad Hatter disease, pink disease, nagkaiba lang sila sa way of exposure ng tao acquiring metal fumes or acquiring mercury metal. Okay? Paano sila na-expose? Paano sila nagkaroon ng mercury poisoning? Yan lang yung pagkakaiba sa toxicities na to. Kaya different yung names nila. Okay, say for example, sa organic mercury poisoning, di ba? Ang tawag daw is Minamata disease. Okay, yung term nga Minamata disease, or that is actually a neurological syndrome. Okay, pag sinabing neurological syndrome, ibig sabihin affected yung central nervous system. Okay, again, ang mercury poisoning in general, okay, ang mercury poisoning in general, isa siyang neurological disorder. Okay, meaning affected ang central nervous system. Ano ba yung bumubuo sa central nervous system natin? Di ba? Ang brain at saka yung spinal cord. So, delikado talaga si mercury kasi diretso siya. Diretso brain yun. Okay, diretso brain, diretso spinal cord ang affected. And remember, halos lahat ng functioning sa body natin kontrolado ni brain. Okay, so very toxic si mercury. Minamata disease, this is mainly due to the organic type of methyl. Okay, particularly si methyl mercury. Okay, yung organic type of mercury that causes Minamata disease is the methyl mercury. Okay? So, ano yung ginawa sa methyl mercury? Bakit na-acquire ng tao? Ang methyl mercury, it was thrown away into the Minamata Bay or Minamata River. Maybe during sa itong mining, mag-mining ang tao, labay lang nila diretso sa dagat. The same with katong nahitabo sa itay-itay disease. Okay, ingani po lang nahitabo sa Minamata disease. Ang nag-specific na river. ang gi-name, no? Untog Minamata disease. Gilabay man ang mga methyl mercury dito sa Minamata Bay. Sa Japan gyapon ni siya, Japan gyapon ang Minamata Bay. Okay. Now, of course, ang kani nga river, kani si Minamata Bay sa Japan, or Minamata River, it is actually the surroundings of fishes. Okay, mura siyang fishing grounds, kumbaga, sa mga fishermen. Again, ang Minamata Bay, mura siyang fishing grounds sa mga fishermen. Okay, didto Therefore, ang nag-cause gyud sa Minamata disease, wala gyud nila directly na acquire ang mercury. Wala nila directly na acquire ang mercury, kundi indirectly with the consumption of large amounts ng fishes and shellfish. Ibig sabihin, na paglabay nila sa mga methyl mercury sa Minamata Bay, karon ang mga fishes, ang mga shellfishes, na-consume to nila ang methyl mercury. So, dala-dala nila ang methyl mercury. Pag pangisda dayon sa mga fishermen, pagkaon nila sa contaminated na pala yung fishes with mercury. So, yan yung way paano sila na-expose sa mercury poisoning. Okay? Kaya tinawag siyang Minamata disease kasi nagkaroon talaga ng outbreak. Okay? Doon sa mismong Minamata Bay nga areas. Okay? Halos lahat sila nagkaroon ng mercury poisoning. And napagkaalaman nga, doon nga, okay, contaminated na yung fishes, okay, with methyl mercury. So, yan yung Minamata disease. So, mercury poisoning din siya. Diba? Mercury poisoning din siya. Okay. Then, yung chronic poisoning of mercury naman, ganun din. Mercury poisoning din siya. Neurological syndrome din siya. Pero this time, iba na yung way paano na-expose yung tao. Okay? Hindi na sa Minamata River. Hindi na sa Minamata Bay. Hindi na sa pagkain ng large amounts of fishes sa Minamata Bay. Hindi. Okay? So, ito naman is yung origin talaga ng Mad Hatter. This is due to poisoning naman ng mga industrial workers. Industrial workers na-expose sila sa mercury fumes. Yung yung industry nga ilahang ginatrabuhuan is more on making hats. Familiar man siguro mo aning historian kaning original nga historian hat. Along the process kasi in making that historian hat, very important si mercury nitrate. Dito naman, again, in making hat, okay, historian, I don't know, murag historian hat, manggid na siya, di ba? In making that, along the process, very important yung mercuric nitrate. Again, very important yung mercuric nitrate in making that particular historian hat. That is actually made up of fur. Katong original gid kanang sinauna pa gyud. That is made up of fur of animals, fur ng animals. Kung inyuhang ako i-zoom ha. Kung inyuhang lantawon ang tao, naghimo na siya hat. Hat na iyang gihawiran. Okay, historian hat. Maklaro ba? Maklaro ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, naghimo na siya.
Yes, ma'am.
Oo. So, yung Mad Hatter, bakit Mad Hatter? Kasi yung industrial workers, di ba, na-expose sila with mercury fumes during hat making. Okay, na-expose sila sa mercury fumes during hat making. Ang gakahitabo din sa ilaha, ang clinical manifestation nga gaka-observe din sa ilaha, mga industrial workers, nagkakaroon sila ng behavioral changes. Nagiging irritable, ayan, irritable, okay? Mo ginang pinaka number 1, lahi-lahi lang mood, okay? Pero ang pinaka-kuan very irritable na sila. So, Mad Hatter. Kaya tinawag siyang Mad, tapos Hatter, okay? Disease. Pero again, mercury poisoning gihapon ni siya ha. Lahi lang gyud ang ilahang way sa pag-acquire sa mercury poisoning. Okay? Pero in short, parehara ang mga symptoms. Kaganina sa Minamata disease, ganun din. Di ba? Nagkaroon ng neurological disorder. Okay? Pag may behavioral changes ka kasi, yung affected is your central nervous system. Okay? So the same nga mga karakteristik ang makuha, lahi lang ang ilahang pagka-acquire sa mercury poisoning. Ayan. Then sa mga bata naman, okay? Sa mga bata, nagkaroon din ng outbreak, pero yung tinawag naman sa mga bata ng mercury poisoning is pink disease. Okay? It is because of the clinical presentation. Okay? Clinical presentation nga gakahitabo, nga gakakita sa ang mga bata during mercury poisoning. So, pink disease ang tinawag kasi nagkakaroon sila ng pink discoloration sa skin. Okay? In the hands, in the feet. And that is still due to chronic exposure to heavy metal na mercury. Okay, so parehas lang gihapon, okay, nga mercury poisoning. Ang dito lang sa bata, gidescribe niya unsa ang manifestation sa bata nga ginapakita during mercury poisoning sa kanila. Okay, so pink disease is also known as acrodynia. Okay, so nagkakaroon ng pink discoloration sa feet or sa hand. Now let us talk about the antidote. Again ha, ang cause gid ani is mercury poisoning. Kana sila tulo, mercury ang pinakadahilan. Okay, so ang antidote, pinaka-best antidote, particularly sa mga bichloride salts, is sodium formal, that is formal. Okay, R na siya. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde sulfoxylate. NF, that is national formulary. Okay? Then bichloride salt, ibig sabihin yung mercuric chloride in particular, poisoning due to mercuric chloride. Bichloride man. Diba? Bi, dalawa. Chloride, chlorine. Okay, so due to mercuric chloride, best antidote is sodium formaldehyde sulfoxylate. Then we have an alternative. Alternative naman yung dimercaprol. Okay, or yung BAL, yung British anti-leucide. Then, penicillamine can also be used. Penicillamine is also the antidote of Wilson's disease, yung poisoning sa copper. Okay? Again, alternative lang to sila for mercury poisoning. Eh, bakit pwede sila as alternative? Kasi di ba they are used as chelating agent. Chelating agent. Ibig sabihin, yung antidote nila is via chelation process. Kaya nilang mag-form ng complex in that heavy metal. Mercury is a heavy metal. Okay, so kaya niyang i-remove out sa system via chelation process ang mercury. Okay? Then for emergency cases naman, emergency cases, pwede egg albumin. And ito yung ratio naman. Okay? Which induces emesis. Pinapasukan niya. Okay? Para mailabas sa system yung siguro accidental na pagka-ingest ng mercury. Okay? So egg albumin. It is also used for emergency cases. Okay, so that is for the poisoning and the antidote for mercury poisoning. Now, for the qualitative analysis ng mercury, just take time to read this part. Ato rin ni siyang ma-introduce sa laboratory, pero you have to to know this as well in advance. Okay? Ano lang ni siya? Mura siya ga-differentiate sa qualitative analysis ng mercury 1. Di ba mercury 1 is Hg2, 2+, versus that of mercury 2. Mercury 2 is Hg2+. I-differentiate lang ilahang qualitative analysis using different kanang nasa first column, kanang reagent, those are precipitating agents. Okay? Sige, mag-sample ta. Kaning sa first precipitating agent, for instance. Si sodium hydroxide, kaya niyang ma-precipitate out ang mercuric, ang mercurous pala, and the mercuric. Okay, and it forms a distinct color of a precipitate. Kung si sodium hydroxide ang ginamit to detect presence of mercury 1 in a sample, ang imong ma-produce na color ng precipitate is color black. Bakit kulay black? Ano yung nabuo na compound? Mercurous oxide. Ayaw kalimti ang naming ha, that is mercurous oxide. Okay? Pero, kung si sodium hydroxide, gigamit siya, okay, gi-add siya sa sample containing mercuric ion, ibig sabihin mercury 2 ion, kaya din niyang ma-precipitate sa mercury 2 ion. But this time, iba yung kulay ng precipitate. So, positive result naman niya is yellow precipitate. Bakit yellow? Kasi hindi mercurous oxide ang nabuo, kundi mercuric oxide. Okay? Kasi 'di ba magkaiba 'di ba yung mercuric tsaka mercurous. Iba gyud ang ma-form nga precipitate. Okay? So the same applies to the rest of the precipitating agent. So these are all precipitating agents ng mercuric tsaka mercurous. Okay, so take note lang ano yung kulay, ano yung name. I-name na ninyong mga precipitate. Okay. Now let us proceed to the important compounds of mercury. 10 lang ni sila, 10 compounds of mercury. Madali lang to. Okay, so number 1, we have ammoniated mercury. So na-introduce ko last time si ammoniated mercury, yung white precipitate under sa compounds ng ammonium. Okay, under sa compounds ng ammonium. Okay, ammoniated mercury, white precipitate. Ginagamit siya for minor skin infections. Okay, minor skin infections kasi meron siyang antiseptic, anti-infective property. Next, we have mercury chloride. Mercury chloride, this is also known as corrosive sublimate. Okay, this is actually poisonous. Okay, if ma-ingest So, ito yung bichloride salt. Okay, ito yung bichloride salt ng mercury. And again, the best antidote is yung sodium formaldehyde sulfoxylate. Okay. Then, yung gamit niya, mercury chloride, before treatment siya for syphilis. That was before. So, karon hindi na siya, it is no longer used. Kasi nga, it is because of its associated effects, okay, or adverse effects. Okay, then, meron siyang pinagagamitan ngayon as disinfectant for operational utensils. Yung ginagamit for surgery ng mga utensils. Pang-disinfect lang, pang-disinfect. Kasi nga, mercury, these are good anti-infectives. Okay, disinfectants, antiseptics. And then, we also have preparation. We have Mercurys Chloride. Mercurys Chloride naman, siya yung calomel. Okay? Siya yung calomel. And we have mga cosmetic preparations, mga whitening creams, which contains Mercurys Chloride. Okay? Example, present ni siya nga compound sa mga commercially available nga beauty products made in China. Kaning made in China nga Lina. Until now, these are still available na beauty products. No? Made in China ni sila. And they contain Mercurys Chloride nga salt. Okay? Bakit may Mercurys Chloride sa preparation? Pero ano lang ha, very minute amount. Yung Mercurys Chloride kasi, according to studies, meron siyang whitening effect. Okay? Meron siyang whitening effect. It is because yung action na ginagawa ni mercury salts is ini-inhibit niya yung formation ng melanin. Ang melanin kasi sa skin, yan yung nagpapa-darker ng skin natin, yung melanin. So kung dark yung kulay ng skin mo, that is because abundant ka og melanin. Okay, melanin nga protein. So yung ginagawa ni mercuric salts, ini-inhibit niya yung formation ng melanin. Okay? Kaya meron siyang whitening effect. Okay? So yan. However, sa Philippines, daghan na kaayo beauty or cosmetic products na it has been found out na naay mercury on it. Okay, na yung mga mercury content. Okay? Pero they were phased out already sa Philippines. Okay, sa Philippines wala gid gi-allow sa atua ang mga beauty products containing mercury. Okay, containing mercury. They have been recalled knowing that mercury, di ba, as mentioned earlier, they can cause permanent neurological damage. Even sa skin, they can cause neurological damage sa skin. Okay, so example, kung familiar mo sa Skin Magicals Rejuvenating, nakapamanggapon siya karon, pero naay batch sa beauty product nga Skin Magicals Rejuvenating cream. I don't know, di ko familiar man gid mga ingana. Naay batch nga gi-phase out. Kaya yun na nga, it has been found out na may mercury on it. Yung gory din, gory, sabay spelling ana, murag G-O-R-E-E. Basta gory nga rejuvenating cream din. It has been found out as well na naay mercury. So, gi-phased out siya. Okay, gi-phased out siya. Okay, yung batch lang ha. Kaya syempre, equality assured ba na. Pero naa nagyapon karon daghan na kaayo nga mga beauty products na dili na moagi og quality assurance, online sell diretso. Okay? Diba? Wala na ta kabalo kung nabatoy mercury. Pero most of the beauty products good na naay mercury content, gi-phased out na gid na siya. Okay? Labi na kung gigikan og quality assured tapos na found out na naagid siya minute content, i-phased out yun na siya kasi nga delikado sa skin also ang mercury salt. Kaning Mena og Laina, kaubanan ni siya sa Chinchansu. Pero si Chinchansu, wala na siya mercury content. Effective gid na si Chinchansu. Sa mga mama nato, di ba mga auntie? Okay, Chinchansu nga na ilahang gamit sa una. Okay. So, next we have Mercurys iodide. So, Mercurys iodide, isa tong salt ng mercury ginagamit as anti-syphilis. So, ito yung isa sa mga example ng compound ng mercury for the treatment of the sexually transmitted nga disease, syphilis. Then, mercuric iodide. Ang mercuric iodide naman, ginagamit siya as stimulant of indolent ulcers. Ang indolent ulcers, sa ano na siya, condition na siya, very common among, naman to? Ayan. Very common na siya sa mga aso. Okay? Again, ang indolent ulcers, this is a condition that is that commonly occurs among dogs. Okay? So, yung type ng ulcer niya, ang nangyayari is, yung outer layer ng kanyang cornea, kanang murag color green niya, nag-color green na kaya nagka-ulcer naman yung cornea niya. So, yung cornea ng outer layer ng cornea niya, wala na ni adhere sa underlying part ng layer ng cornea. So, maning murag ga-indulge bitaw siya. Okay? Naburot. So, ang ginagamit para pang stimulant, okay, para tangtangon, okay, ang kanang ga-indulge nga part is yung mercuric iodide. Okay? So, ginagamit siya as stimulant of indolent ulcers among dogs. Dili lang ni siya sa dogs actually, ang indolent ulcers. So, uban kay sa chicken, okay? Pero common siya sa dogs. Okay? Next, we also have potassium mercuric iodide, compound of mercury, nga may antiseptic property. Okay? Another thing, component din ito ng Mayer's reagent. Ang Mayer's reagent, ano na siya, chemical na ginagamit to test or detect presence of what we call alkaloid. Ang alkaloid, kwan na siya kanang naturally occurring compound sa mga plants. Okay, so ma-introduce na siya sa inyong botany or sa higher years sa pharmacy. Kung wala man ganing na-introduce sa botany, pwede sa higher years sa pharmacy, sa pharmacognosy. Okay, alkaloid, naturally occurring compound na siya sa plant. And ang Mayer's reagent, meron siyang component ng potassium mercuric iodide. Ang gamit nila, Mayer's reagent, it detects, okay, it confirms presence of alkaloid in a sample. Example, sa test tube. Gusto ni mo i-detect nga naaba ni siya alkaloid. Qualitative gapon, qualitative test. Naaba ni siya alkaloid. You can test that, confirm its presence via using Mayer's reagent. Ang positive result is formation ng cream precipitate. Basta nag-cream na siya, upon addition of Mayer's reagent, positive na ay alkaloid in that sample. So, qualitative. Gyapon siya, qualitative analysis. Okay. Then, mercuric oxide naman, mercuric oxide, that is also known as yellow precipitate, a compound of mercury that is used in the formulation of ophthalmic antiseptics. Okay. Yung white precipitate, yan si ammoniated mercury, ha? Ammoniated mercury. Ang yellow precipitate, mercuric oxide naman. Okay. So, ayan. Yung mercuric oxide. Okay, an example of a preparation na ophthalmic ointment. Isang antiseptic. Okay. Next, we have red mercuric iodide. Red mercuric iodide naman with potassium iodide. Ito ay component ng solution of Valser's reagent. Ang Valser's reagent, the same with Mayer's reagent, ginagamit din siya as confirmatory test for alkaloids. Again, ang Valser's reagent, the same with Mayer's reagent kanina, ginagamit din siya to test, to confirm presence of alkaloids in a sample. And this time, ang positive result na meron talagang alkaloid sa sample is formation of a white precipitate. Kung Valser's reagent ang gamiton. Kung Mayer's reagent, positive result na may na-detect na alkaloid sa sample is cream precipitate. Okay. Then ito namang water-soluble na mercury. Ano lang to? Solid preparation ng mercury. Again, solid preparation siya ng mercury na giadan og other agents. It has been added with numerous agents para ma-enhance ang iyahang solubility. Okay, so example na nagpapa-enhance ng solubility ng mercury is sodium lauryl sulfate, cetyl alcohol, glycerin, dioctyl sodium sulfoxygenate, water. Okay, so yan yung water-soluble mercury, solid preparation of mercury. And for the last compound ng mercury, we have the organic mercurial compound. Ito naman, organic. Okay, organic preparations of mercury. Okay. So ako lang gihapon gi-include kasi nga merong mercury on it. Okay. So example, merbromine, marketed under the brand name Mercury Chrome. Okay, Mercury Chrome. Ang iyahang use, ginagamit siya as antiseptic. Okay, for minor cuts, disinfectant, for minor cuts, kanang may mga scrapes. Okay, yan yung Mercury Chrome. Then, thimerosal, ito yung old ni siya, old nga merthiolate. Okay, kailangan nga kanang mga hilig og nail polish. Yung merthiolate before, it is made up of thimerosal. Meaning merong mercury on it. Ang old nga merthiolate. Okay? Pero karon ang merthiolate, ang component na niya is benzalkonium. Ito yung new. Ay, sorry. New nga merthiolate. Ito yung old nga merthiolate. Again, ang old merthiolate, siya yung may mercury content. Pero yun na nga, di ba? Ano man siya, toxic, poisonous somehow. So yung ginagamit na ngayon, during ka nang magpa-nail polish, di ba? Always man ginagamit. Ang uban, dili kuan man ning. Ang purpose man gid aning benzalkonium chloride kanang merthiolate, antiseptic na siya or disinfectant para iwas mo sa mga minor cuts, okay? Or para cleaning sa inyong nails. Muna ang purpose sa merthiolate kanang during nail polish. Butang na siya sa sigkilid sa imuhang nails. Okay, antiseptic yung purpose na disinfectant. Okay, para ma-clean up imong nails or ma-prevent o any infections or minor cuts. Okay. So, ayan. Again ha, new merthiolate, benzalkonium chloride. Wala nang mercury. Old merthiolate, yan yung thimerosal.